Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We see some flaring out of the sun and lots of other stuff to cover. We'll be talking about the USPS briefly. We'll be talking about COVID-19. Cosmic rays. Here you can see some B-class flares emanating from Sunspot 2772. And there is actually some activity happening as we make the video today. Is it luck? Is it divine providence? You be the judge. Here's the coronal mass ejection that we talked about in the title. Earth would be off in this direction. The coronal mass ejection is off in that direction, not toward Earth this time. So 2 days in a row with Earth facing coronal mass ejections, but not today. Here's the LASCO C2 animation, and you can see some ejecta here headed off to the west. Not Earth facing this time. And here's a view from the C3 as well. You can see Mercury there moving on behind the sun. Next we've got a custom Helio viewer movie for you. Here's a close-up of Sunspot 2772, and you can see it's actually got some activity going on there. There's some evolution happening regarding its umbrae, and it actually has grown a little bit since yesterday. No sunspot number 0 here. And here's the zoomed out view showing the C2 as well as 1 day of activity. Again, you can see that coronal mass ejection there associated with those solar flares. 10.7 centimeter radial flux remains at 71 solar flux units. There's a graph of the last cycle, and there's a graph of the sunspot cycle. You can see how closely that 10.7 centimeter radial flux follows sunspot number. KP index, a global measure of geomagnetism, is at 2. Having made it up to 3 there for a moment, and we see some extreme magnetism here. We'll show you. There you can see that B-class solar flare, which is sort of just mopping up now, has just moved back into the A-class range. Don't be surprised to see more solar flares out of that sunspot, as again, it's moving into a more optimal location to send X-rays our way. And that's part of what the Earth-facing quiet effect is. We won't get into the physics of it today. It's the daily space weather. Proton flux remains flatlined, and let's move to the real-time solar wind. There's the real-time solar wind data. Phi angle around 140 degrees. We did see a big spike here just before midnight universal time where we saw solar wind densities as high as there's 36 protons per cubic centimeter. I could have sworn I saw 58. There's a 59.72 protons per cubic centimeter there. As you can see, the graph has expanded all the way to 1,000 protons per cubic centimeter. Could be cosmic ray flux, could be real ejecta. We do see the temperature and the speed all shifting at the same time there. Current conditions are solar wind density 3.06 protons per cubic centimeter, solar wind speed 343 kilometers a second. Minimum solar wind conditions there, a weak solar wind. Let's take a look at cosmic rays. First, we're going to look at Apatity and Barentsburg, some very far north Arctic, perhaps subarctic neutron monitors. Apatity's flat over the past 30 days. Barentsburg has a small uptick over the past 30 days. Going farther south, much farther south, to Athens, Greece. And there's the last 30 days of Athens. Quite flat, not counting this. And counting that, it's a slight downtick, I'd say. Next, Mexico City. And there you can see a little wider variations there over Mexico City. A downtick over the past 30 days there. And here's Oulu, Finland, as well as an Antarctican monitor. There's Oulu, flat over the past 30 days. And here's DOMC Antarctica. Sending more complete data now. And it's a slight uptick over the past 30 days at DOMC. DOMB still not sending data. Don't take our word for it. Monitor it yourself. Look up the network of cosmic ray stations. Links to cosmic ray data. And let's look at the magnetosphere. Now we see significant pressure here. And this is largely magnetic in nature, as it's not particularly associated with solar protonic induction. So we don't see a high speed wind or a high density wind, yet we see some significant pressure here. And this is pure magnetism this time. You can see fairly equal pressure in the bow shock and the magnetotail region at the end of the video. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations, and we see significant ground magnetic perturbations. Some coming out of the Pacific Ocean, which we have seen before. Right in this area south of Hawaii is where they're emanating from. Keep in mind these are changes in the B field. That's why it's listed as delta B. When you see delta in science, that means changes to that data point. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data, courtesy University of Michigan, during this geomagnetic polar excursion. And the GOES magnetometer looks quite spiky here, and don't be surprised to see this continue to look spiky. We're not going to see smooth lines here for at least the next, say, 12 hours or so, as we are in a heliospheric current sheet polarity crossing mode. And you can see the South Pole popping out there for a quick moment. That has to do with the power of Sunspot 2772, in my opinion. Here's the latest image, and you can see the current sheet right now about half charged by the South Pole and half charged by the North Pole. So there's a great indication of how the magnetic environment can suddenly change with no warning. This data is 1 hour and 55 minutes old. Now I wanted to revisit this story about the microquasar SS43 and its relationship between the area next to it. So now this thing has a precessional wobble, all right? And what's happening here is these poloidal field jets, they're coming out at an angle. So imagine a hose being moved in a spiral. You're going to have a spiral stream come out of that hose. What's the point? The point is, like with the sun, let me get rid of that for a minute. Just bear with me. Like the sun, this system probably has two poloidal fields which are interacting in order to make this toroidal field. That's the one on which you live. And this toroidal field is a product of the north and south poles. And so, I believe that this massive cloud here that is next to this area is a satellite of this massive object. So even though it's about 100 light years away, this cloud is lighting up in X-rays at the same time as this star. Now we're going to call it a massive radio source. You call it a black hole, you can call it late for supper if you want. But that doesn't change the fact that these fields are created by a combination of the polar fields. So the reason this is doing this is anybody's guess. Is it an indication that the massive radio source is fundamentally electric in nature? Not really, but it is an indication that it's probably made of condensed matter, as it would need to be made of condensed matter in order to have the sorts of fields required to emit protons out of its poloidal fields in this fashion. Anyway, I just wanted to recover that. If you want to read about it, it's on SciTech Daily, and we'll be revisiting SciTech Daily later. And so since we're talking about toroidal versus poloidal fields, perhaps view our cosmology segments. We've got a whole playlist for that on YouTube. It's youtube.com/playlists. youtube.com/smAshomash/playlists. And I would note here on this line of sight field plot, we see a sudden yanking of the B field. You can see it's down here, and that's making the North Pole current sheet currently in charge of the portion on which the Earth lies. And let's move on here to the smash lights, as we don't want the video to be too long, and there's lots of stuff to talk about. Let's talk about an article featured today on spaceweather.com about galactic cosmic radiation. I have one comment. The relationship between cosmic rays and solar activity is not understood, and there is lots of conjecture about the sun and its magnetic field mitigating galactic cosmic rays. I think there's more of a direct relationship. If you want to read this article, again, it is linked at spaceweather.com, or you could search for it. Galactic cosmic radiation in the interplanetary space through a modern secular minimum. I guess it's a non-religious minimum. And there are some people indeed forecasting a grand solar minimum. I'm just not one of them. Let's look at some of the usual suspects here in terms of cosmic ray flux. So, first of all, for reference, we're going to look at Sagittarius A star's transients. So this is part of the Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory. Here are the X-ray emissions from the massive radio source at the core of the Milky Way galaxy known as Sagittarius A star. It's spelled like this: S-G-R-A asterisk. Sagittarius A star. Nothing exciting happening there. Let's take a look at massive radio galaxy 3C405, otherwise known as Cygnus A, the second strongest radio source in the sky, second only to the sun. Now you can see it's got a pretty consistent X-ray flux here, similar to the core of the Milky Way, and it's in a normal range here. Nothing too eventful going on there from Cygnus A. Let's go across to the other side of the galaxy and take a look at the Crab pulsar. There's the Crab pulsar, another very consistent X-ray source. And we see some transients out of it here. They're just above the 0.20 realm, showing that Crab is in a normal state of affairs here in terms of X-ray emissions. And lastly, let's look at Cygnus X3, one of the only known likely point sources for cosmic ray flux. This has a poloidal field that's aimed directly at us, which prompts some people to refer to it as a micro-blazar, micro-quasar, quark star. It's a very misunderstood object. And Cygnus X3 is also remaining in a quiescent state here, down toward the bottom of its range. And we implore you, if you're a radio astronomer, to please study X3 at its quiescent state, as we're very interested to see what it does when it comes out of its quiescent state. I would note that its highest state of X-ray flux was very close to the last solar minimum here at 2009. A similar time that cosmic ray flux was at its maximum. Let's talk about the boy who predicted earthquakes. It's a short story by Margaret St. Clair, published in 1950 and anthologized both in print and television. It's about a 15-year-old boy called Herbert Bittman who has an ability to psychically forecast things using his skills of precognition, yes. Anyway, they put him on TV, and eventually, since he created a sensational global response, his predictions are rebroadcast around the world, and millions of viewers become convinced that he can actually read the future. Anyway, at some point here, the boy becomes extremely reluctant to forecast, is pressured to continue forecasting, and then he tells a lie. because he saw in his real forecast, he saw that the sun is going to explode, known as a nova event, or perhaps a micronova event, whatever you'd like to call it. And it's just an interesting piece of fiction here. The boy who predicted earthquakes from 1950. In any case, we don't have to refer to the sun's behavior as a micronova, I'd prefer to just refer to it as a nova. And please leave us a comment if you have theories about what causes it. Is it caused by a solar minimum and a lack of plasma on the surface? Coronal holes? Is it caused by a solar maximum and massive sunspots? Or is it something else entirely? Let's talk about our mission. It's available at smAsho.com/forum/mission. Number 1 is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. Much of cosmology is being rewritten, which is why we have the channel largely. Number 2, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. Number 3, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach. And I don't know, maybe we should get rid of the term multiply, because we're more like we're barely adding our reach. In fact, we're bleeding YouTube subs. Number 4, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, such as grow tomatoes inside over the winter, and other things. To publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to the sciences before you scrolling up the screen. Number 6, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon. You see what I did there? That's a callback. Reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And lastly, to not be ossified in our beliefs, because that's not science. If you're ossified in your beliefs, you're not doing science, you're doing religion. So the last and a very important aspect of our mission is to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. If you'd like to support the mission, like our patrons do, please consider becoming a Patreon. It's patreon.com/smAshomash. It's the true source of funding. And if you want to be on a credit crawl coming soon, consider becoming a patron. Help us get somewhere near reaching our goals in 2020, as we've run into some shortfalls, to say the least. We're also on Subscribestar. Visit the other links below the video as well. We are streaming live to Twitch, which is what we like to do, because the platform is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't pressed like and subscribe on YouTube, well, we'll wait. No, go ahead, pause the video. We'll be here when you get back. Press the notification bell. You may even be notified when we produce a video. We're also on BitChute, bitchute.com/smAshomash. We're all over social media. Check us out. And congratulations to No Malarkey Joe. Well done, Joe. We're delighted to see that Bernie Sanders, being the revolutionary that he is, has supported you. Because everybody knows there's nothing as revolutionary as stumping for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and then Joe Biden in 2020. Two of the most politically connected candidates in the history of mankind. So congratulations on all of you who've joined the revolution. Make sure you do what Bernie says. He's totally not an economic illiterate. Pardon the sarcasm. John Kasich. Absolutely putrid. But yeah, congratulations, Joe Biden, for the no malarkey. And we've moved into the, oh my God, it's so scary. It's so scary that I'm going to break out my UV wand. And if you want one, head to smAshomash.com/affiliate, and then you can do things like this. Hey you, stop that. Stop rotating around my head then. And clear off. See, that's all you need, just the UV wand. Go around, hang it from your shirt, and just go around killing COVID because it's so worthy of being your adversary, right? Very scary and spooky. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Now, many of you may remember, months and months ago, there were stories about how humidity can kill COVID. Now here's a story on SciTech Daily about how humid air can extend the lifetime of virus-laden aerosol droplets. Oh, yeah. Now, we've put up videos where the thumbnail talks about how sunlight kills the COVID virus or destroys it, considering it's not alive in the first place. Not considered to be a kingdom of life, by the way. I think viruses should be added as they have unique genetic material, but whatever. This isn't 11th grade advanced biology, and I won't be arguing with the teacher about it like I did back in the 90s. Anyway, there's lots of fear-mongering on the internet, and here's more of it. More double talk and more nonsense where, oh, it's this today and it's that tomorrow. Let's talk about smAshomash.com/forum, where there's a 31-page thread about coronavirus. Now, back on January 23rd, I started covering it. What really works to keep it away? How about hand washing? Wouldn't it be easier to just clean surfaces? What about wearing masks? While people have turned to masks as protection against COVID-19, masks often provide nothing more than a false sense of security to the wearer. The masks that were widely available at pharmacies, big box stores, and home improvement sites until the worried public bought them all work well at filtering out large particles like dust. The problem is that particles that carry COVID-19 are small and easily move right through the dust masks and surgical masks. These masks provide some protection to other people if you wear one while you're sick, like coughing into a tissue, but they will do little to protect you from sick people, which is why you shouldn't be going out into public while not sick wearing a mask. And by the way, quarantining people who are healthy and attempting to force healthy people to wear masks is tyranny. By the way, by March 7th, I was saying this entire outbreak may be much ado about nothing. Why? Because it's a statistically irrelevant disease, except in terms of the pathetic and infantile human response. The fatality rate is likely much lower than is being reported for one simple reason. It's not conjecture, nor a political ploy to downplay a significant threat. There are possibly billions of unreported cases. This was on March 7th, by the way. Like West Nile virus, coronavirus is not particularly dangerous, as I've stated since January 23rd. The reaction of certain people is completely disproportional to the actual threat. It's either intentional or accidental. If it's intentional, it's likely an attempt to increase surveillance state scope, cause general chaos, always a formula for increased scrutiny and control over your life, or crash the U.S. stock market. Because I was watching the way the bond market, the stock market, and the precious metals commodities all were behaving the same way, an indication that institutional money was driving the economic downturn. Now, of course, it's largely driven by cheap money, inflation created by the Fed, which incentivizes large companies to buy back their own stock. I won't get into an extended economics lesson, but if you want to read a massive timeline about what was going on with COVID, head to smAshomash.com/forum, head to the Free For All forum, and you'll see all kinds of information like this. Truly deadly diseases have higher mortality rates. If we learn that 1 billion people have COVID-19, that means the mortality rate is 1/10 of the seasonal flu. We've included an image about more deadly diseases. Perhaps check that out. These are on pages 8 and 9, by the way, of the 31-page section about coronavirus. Masks to be worn at all times in school. Pennsylvania COVIDiot Tom Wolfe says. I guess that's the guy who said it. Check out my mask. It says, Tom Wolfe is a COVIDiot, right on the mask. Because I prefer to hold those who are responsible for their failures. Responsible for their failures. Let's talk about the Postal Service. I don't care about the Postal Service. I thought the Postal Service sucked since about when Lance Armstrong won his 3rd Tour de France. So that's why I'm wearing the hat today, okay? This is a Lance Armstrong, I think it's his 3rd Tour de France commemorative hat. And I just bought this as a souvenir. Now it just hangs on the wall because it's tainted. Who remembers when Lance Armstrong was paid $3 million a year to go out there and cheat? Is that what you want the U.S. Postal Service to be doing? Personally, I'm not a fan. And I don't care if Donald Trump rigs bombs inside of mailboxes. I just don't care. And I wouldn't go to a major U.S. city if you salaried me to do so. If you've got a breaking news story that you'd like us to cover, check us out at the smAsho VoIP line. We've created it specifically for viewers like you. It's country code +1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code +1, area code 610-936-9799. We're growing our organization, so perhaps consider supporting the channel via our links, which are right on the homepage. smAshomash.org will redirect you to smAshomash.com. There are the social media links. Here's me checking the stream, and it's looking good. please visit the links. So first of all, you've got the smAsho store, you've got the Smash store, and you've got the affiliate link. The smAsho store contains my next shirt that'll be modeling for you, the I've survived a global pandemic so far Grim Reaper motif shirt. Pick up one of those if you like. Or perhaps you like better the one I'm wearing now. Smasher Price, my first pandemic, yes. And it's the first merch I've ever made. If you want to get in on the ground level, pick up yourself a Smasher Price, my first pandemic shirt. We've also got other designs here, including the 3C405 shirt, the Smash Original with just the logo, the Google is a Scam shirt, and the Smash Team shirt. And we actually put that one on today's lovely test pattern. That's my test pattern, folks. What do you think? And the affiliate link, we've added another item here. It's the xylitol Trident gum, yes. So if you want an insane pack of 15 different assorted flavors of gum, they got all kinds of stuff here. Check it out. They got watermelon. It's all sugar-free, and it's all got xylitol. I'm not going to make any claims about the dental effects of chewing xylitol gum. However, these things are absolutely marketed by the manufacturers. Passion Berry Twist sounds amazing. So yeah, check that out, as well as the other stuff on the affiliate links page. Thanks everybody who's been ordering things. If you want to know about that UV wand, well, there it is. And there's only 4 left. It's about $22, and you can go around. I mean, you could just, hey, I said stop that, clear off. See, it works perfectly. Oh my God, it's so good, it's so worth it. Go around and hang it from your shirt. Has anybody vetted Parential? I've been checking out parential.com to see if there's anything useful there. Here's one that sounds useful. A few important things about childhood we tend to forget. Kids are individuals, did you know? It's okay to fail, because most great successes are led up to with massive amounts of failures. It's good to bond with every type of children. If your kid has weirdo friends, don't discourage them. Creating a positive environment is important. Who knew? And never punish or neglect them. I think everybody knew that. Provide positive feedback and provide incentives for your kids to do the things you want. Check us out on Twitter also. Now, I know a lot about psychology. I've taken child and adolescent psych, as well as psychology of the abnormal patient, and 83% of the core classes for a BS in psychology. I just dropped out because college is BS, and thank God I saw the writing on the wall back in the mid-90s. So I took up bike racing instead. Anyway, check us out. It's twitter.com/smashomash. I'm trying to get more involved there. And hey, Smash staff, we need a different pinned tweet here. Let's advertise a different shirt. And here ends the Smash Lights. Again, please consider becoming a patron, subscribe star, or support the channel via the affiliate links or the merch. We greatly appreciate it. And let's move on to some more things. There's a 1-year graph of the electron flux, and we've moved back into like low moderate levels here. And here you can see, as forecasted, we never reached warning levels yesterday. And let's see. No forecast on today. Here's NASA NOAA's forecast. They're expecting a small uptick as it's about to level out according to the forecast model. Next, looking at the total air column here, this is all the way from the thermosphere down to the ground, giving you an idea of where GPS errors will be. It's the total electron content forecast. And if you're around the equator around noon, you'll see some GPS errors, but not major ones for those locations. Here's just one layer of the atmosphere, just the ionosphere. Anyway, there's 6 hours of data. Let me bring up the final frame here. Here's the latest image. Ionosphere looking pretty normal here. That's quite a normal looking ionosphere. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where it'll be in a week. Happy new moon. It's my favorite phase. It's usually accompanied by great sleep. By the way, sleeping and darkness go hand in hand. Make sure your sleeping chamber is completely dark. It makes a huge difference. A blindfold doesn't work. You have photosensors all over your skin. Believe it or not. Sounds crazy, but it's true. If you're up before dawn, you might get a lovely view of Venus, my favorite planet, even though I'm in Aries, and Mars is up near the apex of the ecliptic where I'm located. I like to use in-the-sky.org, and I orient my star chart to the south because I'm currently facing south, and, well, my couch faces south. We saw another large quake or two here in Indonesia, a nearly 7 magnitude. We'll get to it in a minute. First, check out some deep quakes here, such as this 4.4 near Fiji at 516 kilometers depth. That's a deep quake. And just scrolling up the list here, Another deep quake at Fiji, that one coming in at 2157, 605 kilometers deep and a 4.7 magnitude. Right at the same time, seeing a surface quake at Philippines. Check it out. There's only 6 seconds apart between those two quakes. And then 25 minutes later, we see a 6.8 at Indonesia and a 6.9. So it's like a foreshock there. And those are only about 30 seconds apart as well. So a little uptick in earthquakes here over the past 2 days. Small deep quake at Alaska. And if I miss anything, please leave us a comment, as we got to keep it moving. Another deep quake at Argentina there. It's 127 kilometers depth and a 4.3 magnitude. Next, looking at volcanoes here on volcanodiscovery.com. My favorite source for volcano updates. Nishino-shima is exploding, flight level 080. Suwanuse-jima exploding, flight level 060. Cinnabung exploding, flight level 170, 17,000 feet. Popocatépetl exploding, 21,000 foot plume there. Sangay exploding, 20,000 foot plume there. Revenador exploding, 15,000 foot plume there. And down in Peru, Sabancaya still exploding. A sporadic puff of volcanic ash was enough to produce a 21,000 foot plume of ash. Please do not pole vault the caldera. We've got some power outages. Let's refresh. We see some in California, Iowa, and Texas now back off the list. They must have gone below 10,000 reported outages, and for that, we thank you. Here's a weather.gov map. Nothing too exciting happening there. Let's take a look at windy.com's pressure cells to see the Brian Stelter anticyclone still off the west coast of southern South America. It's winter and there's high pressure out in the southern Pacific. We're going to let the pressure advance here into the GFS forecast into tomorrow. Oh, it's showing us the Euro forecast. Let's switch that. There we go. And there's where we expect things to be at noontime tomorrow, my time. And if you're wondering where I'm located, it's right about there in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, about 12 miles east of New Jersey. Next, looking at nullschool.net here to see the jet streams of the western world. We see doubled up jet streams over the northern U.S., extreme meridional jet stream flow the world over, and a second anticyclone there over northern South America. What can we call that one? How about the Don Lemon? This is the Don Lemon anticyclone. I've named it. Since meteorologists are now naming things inappropriately, such as tropical storms that aren't tropical storms, we've started naming anticyclones. Shout out to Chris Martz. Next, looking at lightningmaps.org, and we see quite a bit of lightning. Let's zoom in to the Gulf region. Hey, Tallahassee, there's thunder rolling, and next time you hear some, wherever you are in the world, check out lightningmaps.org. Convince your foes that you're Thor, or your friends that you're Odin. It's fun. By forecasting thunder. Water vapor maps for Europe and Africa are next, and there you have those. Me checking the live stream health is next. After that, water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Water vapor maps for the Americas. There you can see that anticyclone here. It's the Don Lemon. And over here is the Brian Stelter. Two journalists from the Communist News Network. or perhaps the Climate Nonsense Network. And check out this odd system here over Africa. Let's take a look at that. It could be some kind of a measuring error here. I just want to zoom in on that area real quick. Check it out. It looks like violent air moisture. Violent moisture in the air there. Check it out. Yeah, that's caused by the day-night terminator. That's because that's right where the day-night terminator is located, folks. That's not a real... That's bad data. In any case, let's move on to the U.S. Doppler radar map. We got hit with a freak storm. Look at this concentrated storm. We got a heavy rainstorm. It probably rained an inch in about a half an hour. Just kind of came out of nowhere and wasn't even visible really on the water vapor map. Here you can see that little cloud right there came over and it dumped quite a lot of rain. And there's other moisture behind that also. If you want to know what's going on in the cloud layer when it's dark, check out the Band 7 shortwave infrared weather satellite. Here's a U.S. water vapor map. Allow me to vanish. Anyway, there's what's going on over the U.S. Let's zoom in on the only spot where there's some lightning striking near Tallahassee. There you can see there is a bit of a convergence there. Some pressure being created by dry mass of air. And it's looking pretty stagnant right now. Hey Smash Team, thanks for tuning in. Remember, share on your social media. Please consider becoming a patron, visiting the links, purchasing the products that we've advertised, and there'll be more stuff coming soon. Always keep your eye on that stuff. You can link to all of it at smashomash.org. Thanks for flying American Smash Waves. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. We've got 3 bonus features. We've got the 131 angstroms view. We've got Sunspot 2772. And we've got the colorized magnetogram. So you can see this thing has grown even since I did show prep here. There's the current state of affairs. It's a little bit blurry because we're getting some moon interactions here with the SDO. There you can see that. Sunspot, and it remains beta class as we've got multiple umbrae here of opposite polarities, increasing the likelihood for some solar flares. Here is the close-up in the intensity gram view. And you can see leading North Pole polarity. Cycle 25 sunspot once again. And here's the 48-hour SDO video in 131 angstroms. Keep an eye on that sunspot. There's an active region rising in the southeast as well. You'll see the solar flares that were emitted right as we did show prep. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. And may that solar wind be at your back, and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries, and that covidiocy absent from your multiverse. Oh my God, the place is on fire. Screw it.